Hey guys, it's Avery here from Base Reptiles, and today we're going to be showing you guys how to convince your parents to let you get a gecko. So we have a bunch of different kinds of geckos, but the one we're mainly going to be working on today is Crested. So our goal is to keep everything under $100, and we're going to try to keep that goal. And it's kind of hard to own any kind of pet, and it's really expensive to get started, but we're going to be trying to keep that goal, and I'm pretty sure we can do it because there's tons of things you can find that will keep you in that goal, and even geckos you can find not that expensive. So let's go and see if we can do our goal. Lame is obviously not a gecko, but I figured she deserved a spot on the channel right now because she hasn't been on the channel, I think, ever since All My Pets. Yeah, I think that was the last video she went since. So here she is, and she's growing, I think. And I'll have to look at the videos and go back, but I think she got a little bigger. So for a son of your dragon, that's great. So one of the most important things you're going to need is a tank. So the first place you want to check for a tank is Craigslist or a Facebook marketplace, because if you buy it new, it's just going to kill your budget. At pet stores, they're usually about $250. That would totally kill the budget we're going by, or more. So you want to check Facebook marketplace and Craigslist before you do anything else. And the cheapest Exoterra we've found at on Facebook and Marketplace was about $10. So we have mostly Zilla enclosures, but usually you can find Zilla or Exoterras very easily on Craigslist or Facebook, and they're usually pretty cheap. But make sure you pick the cheap one and just be patient, and make sure it doesn't have any cracks in the side, or the screen isn't broken or anything. Those are things you want to check for in pictures, or ask for more pictures just so you can make sure they're perfect and the way you need them for your gecko. So another cheap way is, if you have trouble finding a tank, is to use containers. Now, many breeders with 50 geckos and plus 50 use tubs, because tanks would get really expensive after you have a lot of geckos. So the best thing to use is tubs. If you have trouble finding your tank, you can go to Walmart or anywhere kind of like Walmart, and you can find tubs like these. Now, you will have to upgrade your gecko, if it's a baby already, into a bigger tank, container, kind of like this. This is not for Crested Geckos in there. It's just all reptile stuff. You want to start babies out in small containers. Don't worry about the extra $8 to get another big one. They won't need that until they're about a year or two in the future. So if they're already a baby, then you need a small container. Like this one, our babies in here aren't cresteds, they're just gargoyle geckos. So we split it in half because they're very small each. And we just took some screen and cardboard and cut it out. And of course you're going to have to add ventilation holes on the sides, which we'll talk about in another video. And that is pretty much the second option, which is an easier option. So where we get our stuff from, we get our fake plants from the dollar store. Any dollar store should have fake plants, and we most of the time we glue them together because they're not very thick, and the geckos love hiding in them. And our branches and bark we find in the wild, but we cook them at 250 degrees for 2 hours. So you could also, other reptile owners will do it at 350 degrees for 5 minutes, but we like to cook ours longer just to make sure they're clean, and Chirpy wants to come out. And it's pretty easy. These we just found at a reptile show, little water dishes. So obviously your crested gecko is going to need to eat, and there are many different kinds of crested gecko foods and other kinds of gecko foods that you can get. And we recommend the Pangea. It just seems to be the more nutritious kind, and some of these don't have the certain kinds of vitamins you need. And there's tons of different flavors. Our geckos seem to like watermelon, and Pangea, they seem to like it better. These come in small bags as well. We just have a big bag because we have lots of cresteds. And the small bags usually are about $8. And the food bowl, what we use, we have beer savers. You don't need these. You could use bottle caps, which work best. We just have these. And these are just like normal Crested Gecko food holders, but bottle caps would work perfectly fine. These don't even work as good as bottle caps because these will like flimsy around and sometimes they get hard to clean. And if you can also feed your Crested Gecko crickets like once a week, and you can dust them in calcium powder. You don't have to dust them in calcium powder. That just would keep their bones a little stronger. And calcium powder is usually about $3. You will need a water bottle to spray them down, and you would just spray the whole tank in the walls. You can find the cheapest water bottle at the dollar store. Pew, pew, pew. We know you want your Exoterra or tank or container to be really cool looking, but the best substrate that we recommend is good old paper towels, which you can find for about $1. And it's easier to see if you have a baby, if they're growing. Their waist, you can tell if they're growing and eating and things are passing through. And most people will get cocoa fibers, but paper towels work just fine, and they're best for a baby Crested Gecko. And the last thing you'll need is a humidity checker thing. Okay, restart. And the last thing you will need is a thermometer that also has a hydrometer, and you can find these connected ones on Amazon for about $7 or $8. And the back, it's already on our Crested Gecko tank. It has like a velvet back thing, and that you stick onto your tank or container, and then you just stick this back on, and that's all you really need to do. And this will help make sure that your temperature and humidity level is right. So obviously the last thing you'll need is your Crested Gecko, and Crested Geckos you can find pretty much everywhere. The cheapest ones you can usually find are either normals, which would be more of a brown color, Harlequins, which would be this without the spots, and Dalmatians, just kind of a normally colored with spots. So those are usually the cheapest ones, but where you can find them at local reptile shows, they're great to find there because you can see them in person. You can ask the breeders questions, you can see them, and the cheapest we've found at reptile shows is about $35, and it's really great to find them at reptile shows. Like the best reptile show I personally like most, because it has tons of cresteds, is Hamburg, but there's tons of different reptile shows everywhere. So one of the best ways to find a cheap Crested Gecko is on Craigslist or a Facebook page that you can join and find lots of Crested Geckos that need to be rehomed from people that just keep them as pets, not really breeders. So a lot of times you'll find them really cheap on Craigslist or in a Facebook group. Another place you can find Crested Geckos, hi Precious, is at a local pet store. The only reason I don't recommend this is because a lot of times they'll be unhealthy, but sometimes you can find some crested geckos at pet stores that are in fact healthy, and on a Black Friday sale, they usually range from $25 to $30, which is actually not that bad, because if you're there, you don't have to pay shipping. And then you have your gecko, and that's all you need to find your gecko is a local pet store. One of my favorite places to look is Morph Market, because they have thousands of crested geckos and other reptiles you can find there. The only downside to Morph Market, if you're in a tight budget, kind of like we're trying to say in this video, is there's a patternless red bicolor. See, he's a little cheaper than most of the ones you'll find on here. So the only downside to Morph Market is that their shipping usually ranges from about, it depends on the breeder, but sometimes it's like from 35 to 50. Other times it's like from 50 to about 100. So that would definitely kill our budget. So they have cool geckos. The only problem is if you're in a tight budget, this isn't the best place to look because the shipping would just completely destroy our budget. This is Figaro. She's our 2-month-old. So the most important thing is when you're buying a gecko to make sure it is healthy, to ask every single question you can think of, because if it's unhealthy, you're just going to wind up buying another one anyway, and you have to be patient. Just because something's cheap, you can't buy it just because it's cheap. You want it to be healthy. And so that way the gecko lives a good life, and you just want it to be healthy. It will help out a lot if it's healthy, so you don't have to worry about tons of health problems if it's your first pet gecko, or just say a crested gecko. So just ask every single question you can think of just to make sure it's healthy. Ask, like, is this gecko usually eat good? Does it ever get stuck shed? And you just want to know every single little detail about the gecko you're going to buy before you buy it, so you make sure it's healthy. So we're going to add everything up. We have our container, which will be about $10. Then we have our spray bottle, which will be about $1. And then we have our paper towels, which would be about $1. And our thermometer with the hydrometer connected is what we use, would be about $8. And the food is about $8. And the fake plants, depending on how many you get from the dollar store, will be about $5. We just said $5. And your gecko, if you're lucky, will be about $30. And your branches will be free if you collect them from the wild. But if you do collect them, make sure to bake them, because sometimes they'll have parasites and they're not good for geckos. You can also buy branches for about $10 if you get like 2. So our total would be about $63 if you collect them free, and about $73 if you collect them like from the store. So let's just say 63, because let's just say we collected free wild sticks and baked them. So this is great. We stayed way under our budget. So if you have a $100 budget, you might be able to upgrade your container into a used Exoterra or Zilla enclosure, and you could buy some fun decorations. I hope you guys enjoyed our video and got some tips and tricks on how much and how to own your pet. And please make sure you understand that in the future you might have some vet bills to pay if your animal gets unhealthy, or we recommend you bring it to a vet once a year or twice a year just to get it checked out, make sure there's no parasites or nothing wrong with it. And sneak peek, we're going to have a leopard gecko care guide coming up, and we're actually sitting this cute leopard gecko. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the post notifications so you get notified every single time we post a new video. If you have any questions about how to own a crested gecko, drop it in the comments below and we'll get back to you soon. See you in the next video.